Hey guys, it's Ed Begley here, coming at you. Um, I'm going to actually show you how to do another way to do the Ice Strong spring bobber. I got one here. Some guys use the thread. I use some heat shrink tubing. I find it a little bit easy. I don't have a bobbin either, so I don't do the thread. I mean, I can wrap it by hand, but I find this to be a little bit simple. So I'm going to show you how to do it. The tools you're going to need: get a lighter. This little epoxy. So the rod repair kits have them. Works good. Holds the tip on real well. And then you're going to need some heat shrink. I use two different sizes. I get one that's a little bit bigger in diameter, and then I get the one that just fits, that'll fit right inside that piece there. And it should look like that. See how it sits in there? So what you're going to do is, my tip is on. Now, the trick here, okay, you don't want to ruin the tip of your rod. Light your lighter. Little bit of heat will melt this stuff. Little bit. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just take it, heat it for about 3 seconds, and your tip should come right off. And you can see that it's got that stuff that's on there, the epoxy on there. You can just take that off there. Alright. Take your two pieces that you have together. Mine are together already. Slide them over the rod tip. Okay? Slide them over that. And just let them sit there. Alright? Now, most of the time, you don't have to put any more of this on. If you feel the need that you have to, I'm going to show you how to do it here. This is just how I do it. This is hard, like a rubber. Just heat this up. Usually heat it up around 10 seconds. And then I'll just take my rod tip and I'll just dip it in there. Just to get it, that hole filled up a little bit. And you can take that, and if you look there, it's all sitting in there. Perfect. Now, again, another one. You're going to put it back on without, you're not going to be able to put it on without heating it up. Okay? So, I usually kind of clean that up a little bit. Got to kind of work a little bit quick, so we'll heat it up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A few seconds there. And you slide that back on there. Now, you want to make sure it's straight and in line. I usually just kind of do that. You take this reel off, makes everything a heck of a lot easier. I just look, and you can look and see how you can somewhat kind of line that up. And if it's not too lined up, you can just heat it back up and line it back up that way. Now remember, I got my heat shrink on here, like so. And the reason I go with a little bit bigger piece, this was a broken rod. This rod was supposed to be, 27 inches? As you can see, that's not 27 inches anymore. I just cut off a couple of the rod blanks, and with the spring bobbers, they work great. You can catch I had a buddy tell me you could catch a fish with a broomstick, okay, with the spring bobber. I love spring bobbers, and I agree with it. I like that analogy. So, you know, I put a tip on there, put spring bobber on, and you'll be good to go. So what I do is, if you look at the rod tip, see that little piece right there? I'll take that and slide the bobber right through that. Now what I do is, no, it's kind of hard to see here, is I'll take both pieces of shrink wrap, and I'll slide it all the way up. And I'll take that shrink wrap and I'll push it over that rod tip. And I kind of line that spring bobber up so it's somewhat straight on there. You can kind of see, I know the lighting's pretty bad, but kind of see where I line that spring bobber up a little bit. Try to line it up so it's straight, not really sitting off to the side. Now, what I'll do here is hold that one piece and I'll slide that so it's a smaller piece up and inside. So it looks just like that. And that smaller piece, what it does is it'll adhere to the rod so it's tighter against the bobber. And then this piece will help kind of hold that smaller piece there so it doesn't slide on you. And what you could do is you're able to adjust that bobber so you can go in if you're using a heavier jig and you want a lighter sensitivity, or you can slide it out if you're using a lighter jig to get a little bit more sensitivity. So then once I've got that sitting like that, I take my lighter. Again, don't overheat. You will melt the rod. Fiberglass or graphite, it doesn't matter. It will melt. Just go slow process. It's 1, 2, and then I let it cool. I just take the time to let that cool so I'm not ruining that rod tip anymore. And you can see that shrink wrap working over the top of that rod end. The eyelet up there. And you can get it tight. I mean, it should be, like you can see, there's a little bit of tension in there for me to be able to move that. And I like to be able to move that to give me that sensitivity that I'm looking for that particular jig that I'm actually using. Warm that up a little bit more. Always checking to make sure that rod, that eyelet is straight. And there you go, guys. That's how I do mine. I'll be able to take it and move it. Now, if you want, if you're afraid that maybe you're gonna pull that out, no, let me show you what I'm gonna do here. Remember I told you this stuff right here, your epoxy. Now, you could take the end of your bobber here, your spring bobber, okay? Heat this epoxy up. Okay? And then you can take it and just kind of run a little bit at the end tip down there. And what that's going to allow you to do is, once I get it on there, I kind of form it a little bit. You may have to do it a couple times. And what that's going to give you, if you look right there, you see how it's got that little bit on there? If you do happen to pull it, and you pull it too tight, it's not going to go through that heat shrink tubing right there. So there you go, folks. That's how I do mine. I know a lot of guys use theirs to, they use wrap. I do mine with heat shrink tubing. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I can help you the best I can. I'm not a custom rod guy or anything by that. Enjoy, and I hope it works out for you. So there you go, guys.